Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Election Petition Tribunal grants PDP presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar leave to serve President Muhammadu Buhari copy of petition challenging his victory at the February 23rd polls through substituted means. Governors-elect and State House of Assembly lawmakers-elect receive certificates of return from Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) across the country. Political parties and civil society groups protest against delay in concluding Rivers governorship election. And British Prime Minister Theresa May to resign if Brexit deal finally secures majority in Parliament.
A business news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari to launch the micro-pension plan in Abuja, the nation's federal capital territory.
On sports news tonight, Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich confirm signing of France and Atletico Madrid defender Lucas Hernandez on a 5-year deal worth 80 million euros.
The House of Representatives Speaker Yakubu Dogara criticizes poor implementation of budget without attention to national value and priorities.
The legal tussle trailing the presidential election is gradually taking its full swing, as the Presidential Election Tribunal today granted leave to the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and its presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, to serve court process on President Muhammadu Buhari and his party, the All Progressives Congress, the APC. The petition and other processes are to be served on the president through number 40 Blantyre Street of Aminu Kano Crescent, Wuse 2, Abuja, which is the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, reports.
Even though the People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate have filed their petition challenging the election of President Muhammadu Buhari in the February 23, 2019 presidential election, the hearing is yet to commence formally. The People's Democratic Party and its candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar have approached the tribunal with a motion experte, citing their inability to personally serve the president as required by law. They are therefore asking the court for an order of substituted service. Counsel to the PDP and its candidate, Mr. Chris Uche, also informed the court that it is in the interest of justice that the request for substituted service be granted. The ex parte application was predicated on 7 grounds and 17-paragraph affidavit, as well as another further affidavit of 5 paragraphs. In his ruling, the presiding judge of the 3-man appeal panel, Justice Abdul Aboki, said that the court is granting the request of the petitioners in the interest of justice. According to him, after carefully reading the affidavit and the grounds upon which the ex parte application was predicated, the court is convinced that it is in the interest of justice that the request of the 2 petitioners be granted. The court ordered that President Muhammadu Buhari, being the second respondent in the petition, be served with the petition through any of the senior officials of the All Progressive Congress at its National Secretariat in Abuja.
We have already served on INEC and also on APC. So today we are happy this order has been granted to personally serve this petition by what we call substituted means. And we're going now to serve the copy on the party, and that is the order of the court.
Alhaji Abubakar filed a petition on the 18th of March 2019 challenging the declaration of President Muhammadu Buhari as the winner of the February 23rd presidential election. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
It's been quite a busy day today for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as the Commission today issued certificate of return to governors and legislators-elect who emerged winners in the just concluded general elections across the country. The certificate is meant to validate their electoral victories at the polls. The elected officers, while applauding INEC for a job well done, also promised to justify the confidence reposed on them by the people.
elected lawmakers of the Edo State House of Assembly at the INEC office in Benin City for their certificates of return. The role of the All Progressives Congress, who claimed all 24 seats available in the state. In Delta State, it's the turn of Governor Okowa and his deputy to be presented their certificates by INEC National Commissioner. Governor Okowa calls on Deltans to actively participate in governance.
And I want to plead that all Deltans should be ready to cooperate with me to ensure that we forego all negative vices and that together collectively we advance the name of our state.
In the southeast, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, his deputy, and 24 members of the State House of Assembly are issued their certificates of return. An elated Ugwuanyi assures the people who stamped the venue to show solidarity of his commitment to developing the state.
I will continue to serve you with the fear of God. And may He, God, and God alone, take all the glory.
Former Deputy Speaker and Governor-elect of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, his deputy, and 27 lawmakers received their certificates of return. The governor-elect puts an all-inclusive government on the table.
And under our watch, democracy shall be practiced as enshrined in the Constitution of our Republic. And under our watch, we shall observe independence and respect for the legislative arm of government.
In Oyo State, southwest of the country, a sizable crowd witnesses the presentation of certificates to Governor-elect Seyi Makinde, his deputy, 32 members of the State House of Assembly. The Governor-elect hopes to work with everybody irrespective of party affiliation.
Thank you. Not only PDP, we have APC and we have ADP. I look forward to working with all of you.
Similar ceremonies held in Ekiti State for elected legislators, where they are called to legislate for the good of the people. In Kwara State, the governor-elect and 24 members of the State Assembly received their certificates of return. Governor Abubakar Bello of Niger State, alongside his deputy, and 27 newly elected members of the State House of Assembly take turns to receive their certificates of return in Mina.
The true winners are the people of Niger State who, in your numbers, renewed my mandate to serve you for the next 4 years. And I accept this victory on your behalf.
In Jigawa, northwest of the country, Governor Badaru Abubakar gets his certificate with 30 members of the State Assembly. In Borno State, northeast of Nigeria, the governor-elect, Professor Babagana Zulum, accompanied by his deputy and 27 state legislators, also are presented with their certificates. With the certificates presentation out of the way, the next phase for the elected officials is the swearing-in and the expectation of the electorate that electoral promises would be actualized.
Supporters of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and those of the Africa Action Congress, AAC, in River State hit the streets of Port Harcourt today to protest the political situation in the state. While the pro-PDP supporters, led by the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, the umbrella body for over 85 political parties, took their issue to the DSS and the police in the state, the pro-AAC supporters, led by the International Society for Human Rights and Justice, the umbrella body for some civil rights organizations, marched to the Army Division of the state capital. Our correspondent Emmanuel Rey reports.
Protesters from the Inter-Party Advisory Council take to the streets of Port Harcourt, the River State capital. with solidarity songs and display of placards with various inscriptions to drive home their points. The protesters head to the Department of State Services in the state. In what comes across a solidarity march, the protesters proceed to the headquarters of the State Police Command to kick against the planned removal of the resident electoral commissioner and the State Commissioner of Police.
We want the collation and declaration process to continue. We want CP of River State and REC of River State to be allowed to do their job. If not the police, there would have been more bloodshed in River State.
The police appreciate their conduct.
You will ensure that criminals do not join your ranks as you move along. I will convey your message to the Commissioner of Police, and action will be taken where necessary.
Meanwhile, in another part of town, some civil society groups are also on the streets. This time, they take their own message to the 6th Division Nigerian Army in a show of support for their role in the last elections in the state.
We have taken a decision as a civil society organization to stand by the GOC and its men of 6th Division Nigerian Army. Because of their tremendous contribution they have made in saving lives and property.
The army also appreciates their conduct. As the protesters carry on, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Rivers State insists on continuing with the set date for the collation and announcement of results. Emmanuel Irene, Channels Television News.
It's a tale of once bitten, twice shy for the ruling All Progressives Congress, as it is taking necessary actions to ensure that the political intrigues that ushered in the leadership of the 8th Assembly does not repeat itself in the 9th Assembly. The party is therefore defending its choice of Senator Ahmed Lawal as the next Senate President, with a vow to ensure that the party's supremacy and discipline rises above any personal interests. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Lanre Isao Nilu, insists that the party arrived at its choice of candidate after extensive consultations.
The party, in its own judgment, believe we would not only zone, we will go as far as identifying who from a particular zone is fit and proper as the Senate President. The party leaders, governors, and Mr. President. So this is not just something coming from the chairman, Adam Oshiomhole, or NWC. It's the position of the ruling party has decided on who would be the next Senate President, according to what the democratic principles allow. And that person's name has been announced, and that is Senator Ahmed Lawan. And since that has come out, this party has not come out to contradict itself. So that has been dealt with.
In other stories, the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed the 13th of May 2019 for hearing in the suit filed by Bishop Osadalo Oche, who is seeking an order of the court to compel the investigation of Mr. Adams Oshiomhole by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. At the resumed hearing, lawyer to Mr. Oshiomhole, Tehemba Bishima, argued the preliminary objections filed on behalf of his client, challenging the locus standi of the applicant, Bishop Oche, and the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the suit. Lawyer to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission equally challenged the hearing of the suit, as he urged the court to dismiss the suit for lacking in merit. The applicant's lawyer, Uju Chukura, however, countered the preliminary objection, filed on behalf of Mr. Oshomole as she asked the court to hear and grant the prayer of his client. Justice Aunri Chikere subsequently adjourned the hearing of the suit to the 13th of May 2019 to determine the preliminary objection and the application for an order of mandamus. In part two, after the break, victims of Lagos collapsed buildings lament situation at resettlement camps provided by the government.